Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to take a look at another brand new addition to the game, which is this latest model of BMW M2, which I have to say I'm quite impressed is already in the game, because I think I only really realised that it existed about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So yeah, I think they've got this one in pretty quickly. To obtain this week's brand new car, as usual, you'll have to complete 20 points worth of this week's playlist, the winter season, which you have until next Thursday afternoon to complete, if you haven't already. As you can see, these are the events I've done. I've done the trial, one of the event labs, the playground games, the photo challenge, and the rivals that I did at the beginning of this series. I did also unlock the BMW 850 CSI this week. I know it was possible a couple of weeks ago, but I've only kind of been doing it as I've been winning the other cars. So, the BMW M2. First off, let's start, as it seems to be quite a controversial subject, by talking about the way this thing looks. It does for sure have an interesting and unique look, let's say, to it. And whilst there are a few tiny details that personally I don't like, I don't actually mind it. I think as a whole, it looks quite good, or definitely doesn't look bad. So I don't quite know why it's got so much hate. It doesn't look as unusual, I don't think, as the big grills they put on the M3 and M4, but that's a whole nother subject. Anyway, there's a couple of tiny details I don't like. I don't like the way there's that sort of indent around the badge at the front. It looks a bit odd, I think. And I really dislike the heritage badges. I'd rather have a bigger BMW symbol and not have those silly lines around it. So, tiny little complaints, really. I don't think it's too bad. I wouldn't call it beautiful, but I'm not sure I would say that it's ugly either. But do let me know what you think of the styling of this thing, whether you like it or hate it, or whether you're the same as me, you think it looks reasonable, but there's a few things you don't like about it. Anyway, enough about that. Given how big the M3 had gotten, the previous M2 seemed like the one to go for. And the 1M before that, of course. They seemed like a nice, smaller, lighter alternative, given how big the 3 Series, which was supposed to be the small car, had got. But now the problem is, this M2 weighs 1,700 kilos, which is just too much. It's only 25 kilos lighter than the much bigger M4, for example. So if you want a BMW Coupe, why would you choose one of these, apart from the fact it's probably cheaper? But you might as well spend the extra and have the M4 at that point if you're not getting any advantage from this, I suppose. Anyway, so it's only 25 kilos lighter than the big M4, and the old 1M, which is what kind of started this line of M2s, strangely, weighed just over 1,400 kilos, so it was quite significantly lighter, and that's why people love that car so much. Obviously, they've tried to make this up by giving it a lot of power to kind of compensate for that weight. 453 horsepower, in fact, from its 3-litre engine, whilst remaining rear-wheel drive, of course. Which means, whilst it's fun to drive, it's incredibly oversteery, as any BMW M car should be, really, but it's almost too much so. I did struggle at times to get the power down in a couple of mini-games and things we played about with this thing. So yeah, I think it's a bit too oversteery. But yeah, still a lot of fun, so I probably won't do all that much to it, depending on what upgrades are available, which is what we're going to look at next. So then, unfortunately, but rather unsurprisingly, there are not a lot of options for this. There's 3 engine swaps. There's a 4-litre V8. There's a 5-litre V10. And there's a 3-litre inline 6, which I believe is a 2JZ engine, which you can also swap into the Z4 Coupe Supra thing. So yeah, not any surprises there really, but there are a few options. There's of course an all-wheel drive conversion. There's nothing interesting in the way of aero. There's just Forza front, Forza rear, and a wing delete. If you even noticed it had a little lip there, you can take that off, which I actually think looks slightly better maybe. But we'll leave that alone. It barely makes any difference. Then you have all of your tyre compounds as you'd expect. Track width, which I suppose in an ideal world I would change, but given there's not many upgrades I'm after, I probably won't bother. Clutch, transmission, all of this sort of stuff, again, is as you'd expect, as are the platform and handling options and the engine, although, as ever, if you really want to, you can completely ruin the exhaust system. In terms of manufacturer colours, there are a few. There's the rather nice pale blue that it has as standard, which to be honest is probably how I'm going to leave it. There's a white, a black, as you might expect. There is quite a nice metallic red that I was very tempted to put on this thing. There's then a silvery colour, a sort of matte grey, and for some reason a matte blue, which I think is really a shame because I think this colour could look really good if it was metallic rather than matte. But anyway, I do rather like the blue colour that it comes in as standard, so I'm going to leave it alone. What I am going to do, though, as I've kind of gone off black wheels recently, I think white against the blue actually looks really good. Obviously, I wouldn't do it in reality because they would just get horrendously muddy, but in Forza, I think that's pretty good. So, given I'm not going to upgrade this thing really, we thought we'd take it to the airfield and drag race it against a selection of other vehicles, which actually for this I hopped out of it and into an Audi RS3, which is one of the cars we're putting up against it. It's kind of a weird selection of small saloons and sports cars in here, because I'm not really sure where this thing sits. It's kind of designed to be a sports car, but it's more the shape and size of a saloon now, so it's sort of in between being a sports car and a very small saloon. So anyway, this is a selection of similar performing, kind of similar sized cars, some of which are quite a bit more expensive, that we thought we could drag race it against.
That's an M3 next to me. Ooh. On my screen, you're right next to me, Jerry.
I think the
Is that
M3
M3
might
stock?
win this. It looks very high PI.
Jerry, is that the modified one?
I've made it to the actual horsepower, 591
So
horsepower.
that's not stock.
It is stock, yes, to an extent.
Jerry,
That's not to an
cheating.
extent.
I'm not cheating.
Oh wow, the M2 suddenly
Oh my
shot
God.
past. It's going in
M2
like
is
bursts. Oh no. This car is
I have
terrible.
to skate and I'm dying.
The M2's catching up.
That was quick.
What is the point of the RS3?
To have a different German manufacturer.
So, whilst we were at the abandoned airfield, we thought it might be fun to do another drag race against a selection of BMW M models. So for this, I hopped into the BMW M4, but we also put a 1M, M2, the new one, of course, M3, M5, and M8 on the track to see how they compared, and this is what happened.
I'm gapping petrol.
Why is this so slow? An M2 should
Yeah.
not be faster than an M4.
I changed up to quick.
MH just
M2
gone.
is fast.
Yeah, I'm gaining on Ewan. I'm gaining. It's not gonna be
Wait.
close
Yeah,
now.
Not enough.
How have I beaten the M3? I suppose it's slightly heavier.
They both fly the same car. In front.
So, a couple of drag races out of the way, we hopped back into the selection of cars from the first drag race, some of us swapping what we were driving a little bit, and miraculously ended up in Japan at the Tsukuba circuit to see how this selection of vehicles compared around a track rather than in a straight line.
Ah, who are we waiting on? Always works.
Xbox 360s. All-wheel drive launch, here we go.
rear wheel drive exit of the corner. It should be grass, not dirt, theoretically.
That's
Sorry, petrol.
been dry, I guess. Ah. Tried to cut underneath it, that didn't work.
Right. This
On the
has
outside, I'm on the outside.
Ewan!
What?
Switch back.
Yeah. Box shredded a sponge. I don't know
Oh
where
no.
I got it from.
Oh no.
brilliant.
In the.
Then he just puts the power down and goes. I think this is almost. Oh. Almost. That's a bit of leaning. That's a bit more leaning.
Sorry, Joe. I was talking to me dad then. A little bit distracted.
Oh, shit.
Oh wow.
Like, I'm not being
Why
bad,
is this
but your dad
drifting?
can see you're racing.
Yeah, he
Like-
still just starts to talk to me anyway. They don't listen.
Nope, parents don't listen. Oh, that was never gonna work.
You should know this, Jerry. Parents don't listen.
I've killed Super Tree again.
Super tree! Up the inside!
I think the M2's faster.
Oh,
Loads as though. Yeah.
Never mind. There goes everyone. Get two wheels on the dirt on the inside and we can... Oh
whoa,
no.
that was close.
It didn't end well.
You and the M3 is coming up.
Why does this keep sliding? It's supposed to be all-wheel drive.
I'll even get home for it.
Just waiting for the lows to break down the side of the track.
Or miss a checkpoint.
No, you're not X. No.
I've got the power!
This Porsche is okay, but it just doesn't sound right well with flat six.
And
Oh, that power difference petrol.
Oh no, this is so slow.
Like, even the 2.5 part in the RS3 sounds better than the one that's in this.
There's a wall! I'm alive!
Like, if they actually borrowed the RS3 engine for the 2.5 Cayman, maybe people would have been a bit more happier with it.
Ah, way too deep.
Come on, Audi.
Go on the back straight, petrol. I'm watching you.
And just not slide.
Wow.
There we go.
Oh, I've got a really crap exit.
that was good, man.
Oh, I've gone wide.
Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow.
Fun fact, the M2 does not like corners much.
And that is going to do it for a very first look at the brand new BMW M2 here on Forza Horizon 5. I am impressed with how quickly they've got this model into the game. I wish a lot more newer cars would come in to the game that fast. So if you can get past the looks, which personally I don't mind too much, it's a fun little sports car, but it does weigh too much, and to counter that they've put a lot more power in, making it oversteer probably more than you'd really want it to. So I think it's not really as fun to drive as like the little 1M, for example, a couple of generations ago, but that is unfortunately what's happening to cars. It is still a fun, kind of small saloon slash sports car, almost, although it's heavier than a lot of other sports cars. So yeah, not bad to drive standard, but a bit slidey. Few interesting upgrade options here in Forza, but I didn't really want to mess with too much. Quite interesting to see how it compared to some of its sort of almost rivals, and some other BMW cars in a drag race, and then back with those rivals around the circuit. So yeah, all round not too bad a car, but I don't think it's going to be very useful upgraded for anything here in the world of Forza, which is why I've left mine stock. That, though, is going to be all for a very first look at this brand new edition, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next one very soon.